Hello everybody, Mr. Taylor here. We are getting to the end of section 11, or lesson 11 actually, and actually unit 4 as a whole. But anyway, let's talk about 4.1, which is modeling inequalities that involve fractions. We're going to use the exact same process we did with those fractions dealing with the equation, which means we want to eliminate them. And the way we're going to eliminate them is by finding the least common denominator and then multiplying all the terms in order to clear that particular fractions. All right. Ooh, did not mean to put my mark. Set the mark. Went the wrong way. Anyway, learning objective. Students will learn how to use inequalities with rational number coefficients and constants to represent real-world problems. By now, we should be comfortable with coefficient and know that it's a number that is multiplied by a variable, which means that number is a real number that's sitting in front of the variable in an expression. And a constant, of course, is going to be that number that that is not attached to a variable. And then again, a mathematical sentence that shows that a relationship between two quantities is not equal is called an inequality. Okay, let's go ahead and get into example 1 and see what we have. It says, if an inequality contains fractions, again, this is the same thing that we looked at with the equation. You can multiply both sides by the least common multiple of the denominator to clear the fractions. Now, again, let me remind us that if we multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number, we have to redirect the sign. Okay, so if we are multiplying by or dividing by a -1, and if that sign is saying greater than, we have to redirect and reverse that sign to less than. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. Well, write an inequality represent the relationship twice a number. So that means 2 times something plus 4 is greater than 2/3 of the number. So twice a number is 2x. We could use that as for saying 2x plus 4. Well, that's what they're telling us here. The author's telling us here twice a number, 2x plus 4. And he goes on and say is greater than. So that means the greater than symbol, which we see here, and that is greater than, and 2/3 of a number. So that would be simply 2, 3 times x. 2 divided by 3 times x, which is what they give us here. So our inequality says 2x plus 4 is greater than 2/3 x. Well, second step. How will we go about solving it since we've written it? Since we have 3 as a denominator, we simply will just multiply each one of the terms by 3. So that'll be 3 times 2x, 3 times the constant 4, and 3 times 2/3 x. Well, 3 times 2, now we have 6x, plus 3 times 4 is 12, and we can simplify here. We can simplify, but if you're a little worried about simplifying, then just put 3 over 1 times 2 over 3x, and that's going to give you 6 over 3x, which can be reduced to 2x. That's the exact same thing we did here, except we simplified prior to multiplying by simplifying the 3's and the 3's, which will give us 1 and 1, and 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 1 is 1, and that's how we got the 2x. Okay, so here's our new inequality minus the fraction. So now what we need to do now is just use inverse operation to solve it, and we'll look at, well, what do we want to do? Well, since the 12 is on this side already, so we're going to subtract the 6x. Now we could have went away and subtract 12 and make that 0, and then subtract 2x, make that 0, and then bring the 12 over. I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute to see that you're going to get the exact same answer. But anyway, here we're going to subtract 6x to bring it on the side with the other variable term, and then you're going to get 12 is greater than a negative 4. Notice you're going to divide by the coefficient minus 4, negative 4. So since we are dividing by that negative 4, what happens with the sign? Remember, we reverse that sign, and it's not greater than anymore, it becomes less than. So that tells us when we divide negative 4 into 12 that a negative 3 is less than x. Now what I was saying earlier is we could have taken this, let's see, do I have enough space to write it here? If I would have taken this 6x, so 6x plus 12 is greater than 2x, and if I were to subtract 2x here, that would give me 4x plus 12 is greater than 2x from 2x, 0. Then I would have added 12, subtracted 12 from both sides. That would give me 4x is greater than a negative 12. Let's do something where we can see that a little bit better. 4x is greater than a negative 12. Okay, now once we got that, we'll divide by 4. Now this way I'm not having to reverse that sign, and that will give me x is greater than a negative 3, which is the same thing here. If we read this from right to left, it will say x is greater than a negative 3, or negative 3 is less than x. Same identical answer. So I just want to show you that could work. You could work it that way to avoid the negative. So here's what I need you to do now is go ahead and take a look at this particular problem, number 1. Go ahead and stop the video and come back when you're done so we can see if we match up. All right. So it tells us that we want to write an inequality to represent the relationship 3/4 of a number. So it's 3/4 of a number is greater than 5, and that says less than a number. Well, since that's 5 less than a number, then we need to put the number first, and we will use x as the number minus 5. Okay? Now, since we have this inequality, it tells us that we need to solve it. So, again, we're involving a fraction. So in order to look at the fraction, and we see that the least common multiple is 4, so let's multiply every single term by 4. So we have 4 times 3 divided by 4x greater than sign, then 4 times x minus 4 times 5. Okay, so I can do 4 times 3, which is 12 over 4x, and I'm just doing this so you can see that we could cross divide or whatever, and that is greater than 4x minus 20, and 4 goes into 12 3 times, so now we'll reduce this, getting rid of the fraction, to 3x is greater than 4x minus 20. And what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to go ahead and I'm really going to subtract 4x from both sides to show you how this sign reversal works. So let's go ahead and subtract 4x from this side and from the left side as well. Okay, that's my 0 pair. It's going to bring down my 20. And less than, and here this is a negative 1x. So I divide by negative 1. Now I'm going to get here a positive 1x, and here I'll get a negative 20, but I will reverse my signs from greater than to less than. So my answer is x is less than a negative 20. All right. I'll see you soon.